Have you ever had this moment at work, in relationships, meeting with the boss? You have said everything right. You have prepared for that conversation or meeting. You know all of your points. You are about to smash that presentation. But somehow, it didn't go as well as you expected it to. It didn't land well. People didn't respond well. People weren't even listening to it fully because they did not trust what was said. And then someone else just comes in, swiftly just say something similar, and suddenly everyone leans in. And you're there left thinking, wait, what just happened? Right? Let's understand this one thing. Within seconds of seeing you, people have already decided if they trust you, if they feel safe around you, or if they take you seriously. Here's where it gets uncomfortable but deeply liberating. It has little to do with your communication skills and has a lot to do with your energy overall. What is actually happening is simply this. Before you even speak, before you even open your mouth, people have already felt something about you, something that is beyond words. The energy that you transmit subconsciously. Let's get something straight. You're not being overlooked because you're not good enough. You're being missed because your presence doesn't feel like a space people can actually lean into and settle and trust. Hi, I'm Baita, and in this video, we're gonna discover how much your energy affects your communication, your relationship, and your well-being overall. Stick around until the end of this video. Let's find out the blind spot. A lot of us think that influence is something that someone naturally has over us and that they are simply born with it and they are simply like magnet to everyone. Most people think that influence comes from what you say, how confident you show, and how well you present yourself. But that may only be a minor part of it. This is where it actually starts. It starts from your body. Because the nervous system of a human is wired to constantly scan for threats. So people would first of all think in this way subconsciously. Is this person safe to be around with? Can I relax around them? Do I trust this energy? Even when their mind cannot put a finger on it, right? This process is simply called neuroception. It happens in milliseconds and it happens before logic, before words are even said out, before analysis actually takes place. So by the time you even start speaking words, the room has already decided how open or closed they are towards you. Let me show you what it looks like in real life. You're in a meeting, right? You've been holding your idea for like the last 10 minutes and you're just waiting for the right moment for this idea to just wow everyone. And your heart at this moment is slightly faster, your heartbeat. You rehearse this sentence in your mind and then you say it, right? It's clear, it makes sense, but the response was not as good as you thought it would be, right? A few words, someone interrupts and the conversation keep going on, people overlook your ideas. And then 5 minutes later, somebody else presents the exact same idea, just in a softer, different, slower kind of way. But this time, it captures everybody's attention. Everyone leans in, the manager responds, and suddenly it becomes the hot topic. It becomes something important. Then in your mind you think, didn't I just say the same exact thing? Makes you wonder if the way you spoke was wrong or maybe overthink the situation, right? But here is exactly what just happened. You need to understand that it's not about the idea being good or bad. It was your state of mind where you presented your idea that was slightly off or slightly tight. Maybe at the time you presented the idea, your breath was shallow. Your body was holding a little bit of tension. You were anxious. You were trying to rush the whole idea. There was a subtle, I need to prove something to these people. right? That kind of energy that even you yourself did not notice. But people in that room picked that up. Let's get this. How many times have you just waited for the other person to finish their sentence only to say something that proves your point, rather than listening to where they actually come from and what they are trying to convey in their point of view? You may not even notice this, but not consciously at least. Otherwise, this would not have happened. Let's understand something about your nervous system. Through the polyvagal theory, right, we understand that humans respond very differently from how they sense safety, pressure, or threat. Your words came from a nervous system based on urgency. People can actually feel it, you know? People do get repulsed in this kind of energy. That is why you feel rejected and not being accepted. This is exactly why I help women slow down, regulate your nervous system, especially with high performers who are accountable for everyone else's well-being. They basically put up fire when everything goes wrong. When you naturally, intrinsically slow down, right, you become the master of your own regulation and master of your own nervous system. And then you get to signal safety to people around you, saying that you are safe, you can share things with me, and you will not feel threatened. People around you sense danger when you are overloaded yourself with your nervous system, right? Now let's take this beyond the meeting itself, right? You're in a social setting, you're smiling, you're engaging, you're saying all the right things, you are engaging with your friends, but here's the part of you that is watching yourself, right? Behind the back of your mind. Am I talking too much? Was that weird? Should I have said something now? You're there, but not fully at ease or in presence, right? And somehow people don't really ignore you, but they don't really fully see the way you deserve to be seen. This is something that a lot of my clients have struggles, right? You go home thinking, I was there, but I felt like something is off. There's some kind of feeling in the back of your mind. And this is what truly happens in that feeling. Humans, right? We humans are wired with something called the mirror neurons, which simply means people don't just hear you, they mirror you. So if you show lack of confidence, they also show lack of confidence in ways that they are mirroring insecurity, and they don't listen fully. They feel subtle tension, and if you are slightly guarded, right, they also are taken back to an extent. So if you're fully at ease, you will notice that their body also relaxes. This is how body languages respond. They don't have the need to feel threatened around you or feel like they're walking on eggshells when you're around. Have you ever experienced a toxic coworker around you? You know who I'm talking about, the one who constantly complain and make you feel uncomfortable. It's their nervous system, the way they are wired to see chaos. This is also why research by behavioral psychologist Nalini Ambadi, who discovered this term called thin slicing, which simply shows people are being briefly judged within milliseconds, and those impressions are often accurate before they even say the word. This simply means that for every new person you meet, you are literally milliseconds away to signaling whether someone feels safe around you or feel trusted around you. They can make or break your authority as a leader, as a person in charge, or as a person in power. And this comes from an internal state of safety, which is why it is so important that you feel safe within your nervous system. So here's the truth most people don't even want to hear. You cannot out-communicate or out-say words from a dysregulated nervous system. Let me say that again. You cannot out-communicate a dysregulated nervous system. On the outside, you can learn to speak better script. You can improve your vocabulary. You can practice your speaking, but if underneath there is a sense of urgency, layered by self-doubt, the pressure of being liked, the fear of being judged, right? People can sense it. In yoga, this has been talked about for over thousands of years. It's called prana. Prana simply means your subtle life force that is within us, something that nourishes our mind and our body. Your life force energy. So when your prana is disturbed, right, the subtle life force energy is disturbed, you feel restless, you feel scattered, you feel agitated on the inside. When it is balanced, you start feeling grounded, you feel steady, and you feel clarity in your mind. And here's the key. People don't just hear your words, they actually feel your presence in your prana. This is exactly why we practice pranayama, which is comprised of two words, the prana and ayam. Prana simply means your life force energy. Ayam is simply the art of regulation or the control of the life force energy. So when you practice regulation of your life force, it changes the energy and changes everything. There's also a principle from the Yoga Sutra, right? Sthira Sukham Asanam, which means true presence is not rigid confidence. It's simply something that comes from ease and steadiness and effortlessness. I'm pretty sure that you have met this one person, right? You can even think of this person. You've met this person before. She's not the loudest. She's not trying too hard. She just has to walk into the room without any rush. She slowly listens, she breathes, she's simply just there. But everyone gravitates towards her. Everyone wants to be around her. Everyone looks at her in admiration, right? Always want to include her in conversations and truly listen when she speaks. It's not even because she demands power or demands attention. It's simply because her presence somehow feels safe. And she's got nothing to prove. So this is where we reframe, right? The real question is not how do I sound more confident? The real question becomes, does my presence allow people around me to relax? Because that is the point where people start listening to you, people start trusting you, and people start opening up to you in ways your connection feels meaningful. This is also what I learned while leading retreats and holding space for high-functioning women. That you don't have to actually become louder, you don't have to prove anything to anyone, you don't even have to overanalyze your words. All you need to have power is understanding that there's something in your body which is not in a constant state of proving, rushing, becoming, because trust is not something that is built through words. It is something that is felt in your nervous system. It's simply energy. And when your internal world becomes steady, right, your external shows, right, it simply becomes effortless. You need to understand that you are not being overlooked because you're not good enough. You're being missed is because your presence does not yet feel like people can actually lean in, settle in, and trust. So work on your energy and your life changes.